There's this, there are these candies called Twin Snakes. Are you familiar with these?
Yes, I am. They're very good.
Yes, they're Haribo. That's the name of they're like those golden gummy bear brand. And there's one snake that's like really sour and one that's really sweet, and they're stuck together. And that is my favorite. Wow. I cannot turn it down candy outside of chocolate.
Yeah. People are really into Nerds gummy clusters now.
Oh, those are so good. And it's the Nerds rope. I really like that too.
Yep.
I like Nerds too. I like sour. Give me sour.
Okay.
Do you like Sour Patch Kids?
Yes, I did. I did.
You have to be careful with those because they can kind of numb out your mouth. And then you're like, blah, blah, blah.
My wife loves the watermelon ones. That's her favorite. If anybody's thinking about giving her a gift, it's the watermelon.
It's the watermelon.
Those are really good too.
Yeah, she loves those.
There's some, so there are these things called, we're really going deep into this. I'll let you know what we do on road trips, but they're called Sour Punch straws.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, great.
And those are really grainy.
Yeah.
And to the point where I'm still eating them because they're so addictive.
Oh, they're good.
But my tongue is like raw.
They're good.
Raw.
Yes.
It takes 3 days to heal it up after I trip to Florida.
That was my favorite candy at like Friday night football games.
Would you just like wrap it inside your mouth and your teeth and like
that's an interesting way to do that. No,
I would drink soda through them.
Oh,
there were straws. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how both of you are like, oh yeah, but yes, little bitty bites all the way down. Yeah. I love all the chocolates too. But sour candies for sure. I cannot get enough of.
Well, we could talk about candy and Cokes probably all day. Jennifer and I could really talk about it all day. But we did bring Erika here to talk about something else right as your phone is ringing. Is it an emergency?
Oh, it's saying time for the podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Almost Amazing podcast from the CityRise Network. Hosted by Jennifer Dennis and produced by me, Justin Kello. We're a podcast that was supposed to be focused on parenting, but we've kind of lost the plot along the way. Honestly, we don't know what this podcast is about, but we talk to incredible people who love Jesus, and our hope is to provide encouragement and fun whenever possible. If our lack of clear direction bothers you, we apologize, but no one is making you listen to this podcast, unless you're married to Jennifer. Andy, thanks for listening.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Almost Amazing
podcast.
Ooh,
I forgot what we're doing.
Folks, I'm just being real today.
Yeah.
I'm on empty, Justin.
Yeah.
You may look over here and I might be unconscious for some of the show because Andy's been out of town for a week. And I don't know if we've talked about this, but when Andy is gone, I cannot sleep very well. And I know that this is common, but I think to my 7th night, not getting in bed before 2 a.m.
Oh, yes.
And having to be up at a regular time.
Right.
And I am just like spent. And I'm not saying that every night I'm going to bed at 2 a.m. I'm like, I finally get to sleep at 2 a.m. And then I'm up at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. And it's not because I do have a little bit of the fear. I'm afraid always being alone. I hate that. I think if I didn't have Andy in my life, I would have to find someone just to come and sleep in the other room.
It's called a roommate, is what you would have.
It's
not that bizarre. A lot of people have roommates
in another room and get to. But man, I don't know. I am on empty today. I just got up and I'm like,
it's so funny. Like that's wild to me. It may be even worse now that Olivia's gone though too. I think because it's about having nobody in the house.
Yes,
I think this
is the longest I've stayed by myself.
Right.
At my house alone in, 20 years.
Any other person would make it a little bit better. This is not just Andy's gone. It's like, this is your first time with nobody.
Right.
But the dog, which you say is worthless.
And let me say, he's not a big help because I'm having to take him out.
Yeah.
And because
in the dark. And
I turned into a timeless gypsy just wandering around my house. I don't even walk him his last walk. Andy walks Flynn every night between the times of 10 and 10:03.
Wow.
Like, he is in such a system.
Yeah.
And Andy systemizes me as well.
Yeah.
He walks Flynn. He gets us all upstairs. We're all getting ready to go to bed by 11.
Right.
I'm not even considering walking Flynn until after 12:30.
So you're just wandering around at midnight.
I'm like.
Just walking up and down the bayou.
I'm just like kind of walking around like doing my stuff. And I look down. I'm like, it's 12:30.
Yeah.
Man. And so I finally get settled in, get to sleep. And then it's just like constant waking up all night.
Well,
nobody wants to hear about this. I'm being such a whiner.
Well,
Tell me about
it's a
your
bummer.
life. What's going on with you?
Well, I have to have surgery.
Oh, Justin. What? Surgery?
I have a bone spur. And so apparently what that is like, it's almost like you tear a tendon or something and then it starts building up like scar tissue or something. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but my foot it hurts all the time. And so there was some treatment we tried and it wasn't working. And I was like, so what do we do? He's like, well, I got to cut it off and like reattach your Achilles and stuff. I was like, okay. I was like, how long, what do I do? He's like, well, you got to be off your foot for 5 weeks afterwards. I was like,
Oh,
what?
dear.
He's like, you can't put any weight on it for 5 weeks.
Kristen.
I was like, she had to carry me around. I'm going to piggyback right on Kristen.
5 weeks.
I know. It blew my mind. I was like, what do I do? He's like, well, you just kind of get that little knee scooter, like
oh, Justin.
where you're like, right.
I can immediately see this already.
5 weeks.
I can already see
5
you
weeks.
scooting around on that thing at the pool.
And I told him, I was like, 5 weeks? You gotta be kidding me. He's like, well, if you live to be 80, like 5 weeks, to fix your foot that long. I was like, well, first of all, there's no way I'm living till I'm 80.
Don't you love a physician's perspective? Like, well, if you think about the beginning of time and relative, this
it's really
is
not
like
that long. So yeah.
Can you swim? Will you be able to swim in the pool?
And that's why those are all questions I have have the pre-op meeting or whatever. Those are all questions I have. Is like, does that mean I can't do any physical activity or could I swim or whatever? How do I have a lot of questions. And so it is happening though, because he's right. Like I can't spend the rest of my life. My foot just always hurting.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I've heard people who have those. It is really painful.
And like, I'll go for a while where it's fine. But if I have
feet.
like during the hurricane, when I was like carting stuff over here to the church because the church had power, I was like training my family and we were making multiple trips. It wasn't a hard day, but I was on my foot all day. And the next like 2 weeks was like it wasn't like, I was like, I can't spend the rest of my life like this, where I wasn't even doing that strenuous activity.
Oh my goodness. We'll be praying for you. Let me know. We'll bring you a meal or something.
Yeah,
for
that'd
sure.
Be great. I'd love a meal.
Yeah, of course. I just want to say before the show fully gets started is that I've really messed up my contouring. So someone hasn't punched me in the face.
It looks like your nose is gone.
It does?
I'm kidding.
I've just contoured it out. And so I'm seeing myself on the feedback monitor and I'm like, yeah, it looks like someone slapped me.
I don't think
You think it looks okay?
I don't think so.
Well, if you see it appear throughout the show, because sometimes we do this in different times, and all of a sudden you'll see, oh, Jennifer just applied like 2 cups of.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll see that happen.
Okay.
About halfway through the interview, I think.
Yeah, it did happen. Yeah.
Some magic. So I tell you what, speaking of the interview, I'm super excited about our interview today. I've gotten to know her. I'm thrilled she's on our team. Please welcome the new West University Baptist, a Children's Village director, Erika Roberts.
Hooray.
Erika, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, we're really glad to have you.
Yeah.
For sure, sure. And you've just been with us this is your second week.
It is my second week. It has been very, very busy. I'm learning a lot and I'm having a great time so far.
Well, that's good to hear. And so Erika is coming to us this season. You were at another childcare, a preschool, and you have been in education and preschool ministry for quite some time. She comes with a lot of education experience. So tell us, what got you into working with children?
So I had come out of college with a bachelor's of fine arts in theater and television, and I was working as an actor and working for a small children's theater company here in town that's no longer in existence. And they asked me that summer, hey, do you want to teach our acting camp for kids? And I was like, well, I've never done that before, but sure, why not? Because that's kind of how I always approach things. And so I did it and I was like, oh, I really like working with kids. And long story short, over time, I had my own children and I was dropping my son off at preschool one morning and they said, oh, we know you have worked with children before and we need a substitute teacher. Would you be willing to work for us for today or anytime? And I said, well, yeah, actually I can do that. But can I go home and change and get into some decent clothes? And they said, sure. And so I did. And I started subbing and then I loved it. And there was a class opening up in January for our young toddlers at that school. And I started working that January. And I never left. My son went off to his regular kindergarten and I kept teaching there. And I stayed there for a long time and then went off and did children's ministry at another church in town and loved that too. But I had this calling to come back to early childhood. And so in 2017, I said goodbye to my church and said, I'm going back to teaching. And I went back to teaching my favorite people, the twos. And I did that until COVID came along and everything kind of turned upside down and I ended up in administration. And that's what I've been doing since 2020. And in April, I left that position after being there as the interim director for that school and just kind of started praying and saying, God, where do you want me to go next? And unbeknownst to me, right after leaving that position, this position opened up and I thought about it a lot and I prayed about it a lot and it just kept needling me, you need to apply. So that's how I kind of got here. And I just love being part of early childhood. I love kids. I love their families. I love seeing what children are capable of and they're so valuable. And I love to be the first person and point in their life to say, hey, you've got something to offer and let's teach you and show you and let you grow. And that's why I do this.
Well, I love that. So that's the second time I've heard you say that twos are your favorite age. What makes twos? Because, we've heard the saying, terrible twos, but what makes twos your favorite?
Twos are my favorite because they still really want to please you. They still want to learn from you, but they're really trying to become independent. Like they want to do things independently, but they want to be given that gift to be allowed to do so. And if you stop and you let them gain that little bit of independence, they develop a trust in themselves and a trust in you that they can do many big things. So you're at this point in their lives where they're not really little anymore. They're getting more verbal. They're learning how to do things and they want to do it. So it's like this little time where you can say, yeah, you got this. You can try it. And I really do like it. 3-year-olds terrify me, but 2-year-olds are just, to me, so fascinating. And it's just so much growth. It's one of the biggest growth developments in a young child's life is between 2 and 3. And then the next, 0 to 2 is big, but then 2 to 3, there's just huge developmental milestones that happen. And it's just really fun to watch. And they're hilarious. They say the most crazy stuff and it's just entertaining all day long.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. That's such a good talk to give to 2-year-old parents that are.
2-year-old was the last time my kids were nice to me. So I also like to.
The last time your kids were nice to you.
Yeah, that too.
Come on. I've seen you pick them up. They go crazy. So, we're just so excited to have you. And you're kind of connected to the CityRise family in that your daughter is just married Jack Riley, who is Kristen Campbell, our women's ministry's son.
Yes. So now I am the mother-in-law to Jack Riley Campbell. And it's really exciting. It's been a lot of fun watching that relationship develop from the time they were 16, 17 years old to where they are now as young adults starting their lives. And it's the best wedding I've ever been to. I may be partial because it is my family, but it was so much fun.
Probably a little bit part of the planning of the wedding.
I was a little bit part of the planning of the wedding. But I will have to say that my daughter has an eye and a vision for this kind of thing, and she really knew what she wanted, and we just kind of helped make it happen.
Oh, that's really cool. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you something else. What do you think?
I hope so. The interview's not over. I hope you got something else.
You have to understand. I've hung out with Erika so many.
Yeah. You've checked her references. You really know a lot about her.
So much more about Erika than most of our people. But yet, I know it's asking the next question.
Pretend you don't.
Certainly you could pretend you don't. That's true. Erika, what do you do in your free time?
Oh, goodness. What do I do in my free time? Well, a lot of things. I like to be crafty. The other day I learned how to do that punch needle stuff, where you do the punch yarn. Cause I got, found something on Temu, this kit for $5. So I got that. Sometimes,
that's the thing right now. People are really enjoying that. Crochet, needlepoint, all of that is totally back. It's back.
Wow.
Yes. So I can knit and crochet. I learned how to knit when I was pregnant with my son. One of my friends in the group of moms I was hanging out with at that time, she could knit really well. And we all asked her to teach us. I'm not great at knitting, but I can knit. And I can crochet. I'm not great at crochet either, but I can do it. I can do needlepoint. I can do all that kind of stuff. So I do a lot of that in my spare time. I also, if somebody like asks me to do some kind of theatrical thing, I'm always willing. I'm always game to get on the stage and do amazing things. And,
that's really cool. I love that.
I have a question. As someone, my kids went through ACV. And so my question is like, someone coming in with fresh eyes, like, what do you hope will happen with ACV in your time here? Like, what's the next thing for our preschool, which is already an incredible ministry? It's already got great community members that are being part of it. My kids went straight into school, super ready to go. So like, what's next? Like, what's the next big goal or next big thing you're excited about for ACV?
I think exactly what you're saying is continue to expand on that. Keep that momentum going. There's a time sometimes when you step back and you look and you go, oh, wait, we could, refresh this, or we could do this and maybe change this or change that. And some right now is just dreaming. Like, what does that look like? So really this first year, I'm going to really sit back and get to know the families, get to know the children, get to know the staff, get to know the culture really well here. Because I think before I can go drastically changing anything, I need to know where everybody is and how they feel and what works and what doesn't. But I think some of the long-term, long-range plans is how can we expand our outdoor spaces? Can we bring in an outdoor classroom? Things that I would love to see here to expand our campus and do some just different things and see what other pieces and, educational aspects we can add to our curriculum. But right now I'm pretty I really am just getting to know everything before I can really say, this is what we're going to do next.
Yeah. Well, Jennifer, what about, you're in the hiring process for Erika, of course. This is your ministry. What about Erika made her stand out to you as the next person to lead our preschool?
Well, when you're looking for someone that's going to lead a bigger group of people, you need for them to be able to really be personable, for you to be able to connect with them very easily, for them to be confident. And so when I met Erika, I immediately knew within like 3 minutes that she had that level of communication, of confidence, of being able to look at you in the eye, have a conversation with you. And that she was, I guess what phrase for that is with it. Like she just has this intuitiveness. And I had to know that was going to be in place. And then to match it up with the experience, to match it up with the education. And so I felt like she was really engaging, but at the same time, really warm. And so that's really great for parents to have someone who just has a kind, friendly face and will make them feel good about leaving their kids with us.
Yeah. Well, what are you praying will happen with ACV in the coming year or two? Like, where are you hopeful?
Well, I'm praying a lot of the same things that Erika is. I want these children, I want for this to continue to be a place for kids to learn about Jesus, for kids to grow in their faith, for kids to become more knowledgeable about who God is, for more of our community to learn about this opportunity this is our foot in the kind of a footprint in the community that's been so successful for so long. And so for that to continue on and just a bigger footprint with where we have more children and we have deeper times of learning about God. And I do love the idea of expanding the outdoor spaces to provide new things and new ways for children to learn. And we also, we want them to really be prepared as they move into their elementary experience. And so that's so important to give them the educational experience that will put them on the footing equal with everybody else, I think is really a strong thing that you want to deliver to your parents.
Yeah.
I think there's something, though, that sold me. So I was, going through this process of what do I do next? And where does God want me to go? And I prayed a lot and I waited and I prayed and I waited and I looked and I waited, and I just didn't really know where I was heading. And then when I decided to apply, initially I applied and I just submitted my resume and I was like, then I panicked because I didn't hear anything. And I was like, oh, maybe I should have put a cover letter. So I redid it. And then I got this email. Yeah, we got you. We'll get to you. And I was like, oh, man, what have I done?
We got it. Yeah, that's funny.
Then when I was going through the interview process, one of the things that really sold me about Westview and ACV is the understanding and the knowledge that this is your largest group of people that you're serving in this community, is your children and your families that are coming in your doors every day of the week. And those families are coming into these doors. One, maybe it's just literally that they want a school for their kids. Maybe it's that they grew up here. Maybe it's because grandma said it's a good school. Maybe it's because they just moved to Westview. Whatever it might be, when they come into the doors of this place, you want them to feel like they are part of this place. And you want the school to feel just as much part of the church as the church feels a part of the school. And that was something that when I sat down, especially with Ben Hayes and Roger Patterson, was that they both said, this is something really, really important to us, that we really start connecting the school to the church so much more. And to me, that's a passion for me, because I know the value of these children and the families. And if you teach your youngest, they're your seeds. They're what are going to grow your congregation later. But it's also that idea that you're building their faith from the moment that they're starting as the littlest person. And that foundation is what stays inside someone and grows and changes and keeps going with them as they get older. So to me, that was just like why I kept saying, like, I feel like I'm supposed to go here. And I just waited to see what God said.
I love that.
Oh, that's cool. It's always neat to hear the other side of the equation. We just know what we know, right? So to hear the other side is really cool. So I'm really thankful. I've seen God, like you, as you know, if you're on our website, you know that we're in a lot of transition with our kid team right now. Anna Lauren is moving to Dallas to be closer to her family. Lauren Grossman's leaving Bel Air to be closer to family in Austin. Lauren Irwin is moving into the Bel Air ACV team. And so it's just this crazy transitional time. But what I've found is if I'm just steady, God will bring the people. God will take care of it. He's already working ahead of us and around us. And that's in our lives too. And sometimes I forget that and I start to just spin out of control like that crazy orange character on Inside Out. Like I'm just like spinning.
I feel like that character might be at the wheel a lot in your brain.
That's really funny because it is true. It is. But the person I try to be in Olivia's brain all the time is Joy. Like I'm always fighting for her to never have a bad day. Right. But in my brain, it's that crazy orange character almost 24/7. All of that to say, I've just been like so blessed. And I'm going to say this in the middle of our podcast, talking to Erika. What I learned in some times that have been pretty hard over the last few months is that praising God in the hardest moments, to praise God in the most unsure and unknown moments, and the most defeating moments, to force out praise of who He is and who we know Him to be, is one of the things that is the biggest thing that carried me through. And I've seen that, you know, there's this old 90s worship song. Did you listen to worship songs of the 90s?
Probably.
And it was Praise the Lord. And he said, for everything drops powerless behind you when you praise the Lord. And it just takes the anxiety out. It takes everything out and just remains with you and God in this moment of praise. And that's something that I stepped into that this summer, and God's just been so faithful. And Erika's a big part of that. So anyway. Okay. So if you still are interested in coming to ACV, you can, right, Erika? Will you tell us a little bit about that?
You absolutely can. If you're still interested in coming to ACV, just reach out to us. Carolina Ramirez, our amazing administrative coordinator, can help walk you through that process of registering for school. We would love to have you. We still have some spaces. So that's really the best place to start. Yeah.
We also have the Bel Air location now that's opening, and it's serving 1, 2, and 3-year-olds. And we're starting a little bit smaller on that side. It's from 9 to 2. There's not an extended stay, but it's also like a brand new campus. So it's really neat.
If you go to cityrise.org/ACV at the bottom, there's an interest form that if you fill out, it's the easiest, fastest way to get in touch with somebody on the team to learn more information about getting registered or what it looks like to be a part of one of our campuses.
That's so true. So here's our get to know you question. Obviously, if you're going to another country and you're allowed to bring a gift, what are you bringing?
To represent us or our state.
Yes.
Okay. You're going to go first.
I will go first.
I mean, my brain is immediately food. Like, I can't think of anything but food. But I guess there's other things you could take, like a belt buckle or a cowboy hat.
I think those are great. I think they're hard to travel with.
Yes, you got to wear the cowboy hat through the airport. Which
yes,
is,
it's
is
part
a
of
commitment.
the.
You really have to commit to
I like I feel like when people know that you're coming from Texas, there's a different expectation than if you're just coming from the United States.
Boring. Yeah.
Right.
Our state has a lot of personality. That's
right.
World.
So you're thinking some kind of food you'd figure out how to smell.
Yeah, get through customs, I guess. You know, it's gonna be like
you're
chips
bringing
and
some
salsa.
tamales.
Like, I don't know about tamales, but like chips and salsa, like something very classic that Texas, I think, does better than most places. So maybe like a brisket or something. Just
a brisket
going across the world with just a foil wrapped.
No, officer, that's just my brisket.
Brisket.
Okay.
If I could, that's what I would do.
You would, if you could, and there were no restrictions, you'd ship off a brisket.
Yeah. What about you?
I love and I hate to say this out loud because they run out so often, but the Houston blend at HEB, the coffee.
It is good. And you're right. They run out of it all the time. It is my
favorite. And it is my parents' favorite. And they live in Florida. So every time we go visit them, they're like, Jennifer, we're out of coffee.
You got to bring it.
So I have to bring them. I have to keep them stocked with Houston blend.
Wow.
Yes. So I think that would be something I would bring. I will say, before Erika goes, I believe that anything you'd want to bring is at Buc-ee's. Outside of a couple things. What do you think, Erika? Do you know?
Well, you know, since we were talking about Buc-ee's earlier, maybe that sea salt caramel beaver nuggets, those are really amazing. But along with your meat theory and theme, I was thinking like beef jerky.
Yeah.
You know, Preschool beef jerky is the best beef jerky in Texas, I think.
Where? What?
Preschool. Yes. It's what's it? I can't even say
35, isn't it?
I just go out. There's one out 59
is it in Central,
on the way to Victoria.
Is it in Central Texas?
There's a few locations.
There's a couple of locations. Okay. I go to the one that's out 59 on the way to Victoria, Texas. And they have really great beef jerky. Other food item I think is, to me, I think about is Texas is, you know, like you said, salsa.
Yes.
I think salsa is a really important one because that brings in the kind of the Tex-Mex variety of things.
True.
And I guess if I could ship some food, like just imagine, I would ship some tacos al Capone somewhere.
Oh, wow.
And be like, here, this is what Texas is all about.
This
is really good food. I don't know. And some of it's just personality. Here, I'm going to bring you some personality because Texas is all of that.
It is all of that. And a bag of chips.
I don't think there's a state that has more state-shaped paraphernalia than Texas.
I agree.
I don't think there's any other state that does it like
I absolutely agree.
There's nobody that even comes close, I don't think.
No.
Because we will Texas shape anything if it's possible.
Anything.
And Texas is just such an amazing shape.
Yeah. It's
so unique. Well, Texas is incredible.
And it's giant.
I love Texas.
It's giant.
We had Texas shaped waffles in my dorm. You know how like at the hotel,
yes,
we had a Texas shaped waffle.
At the hotels they always had the Texas shaped.
Really,
waffles.
you've been to where they have Texas shape? I thought
in the hotels?
Yeah,
every hotel.
They're only round in hotels.
Are you kidding?
What hotels do you go to?
I've really only seen round ones.
You guys haven't seen a Texas shape in the waffles?
Well, I've clearly been going to the wrong hotel.
Yeah.
Well, no, I doubt that because I think.
But in my dorm, it was a Texas shape and it had a Longhorn in it too.
That was not it.
Yeah, I may know where you went to school.
I think that narrows it down.
Yeah, which I majored in theater as well. Where'd you go to school?
I went to TCU.
Okay, yeah, it was before we played John football when I was there. So.
Isn't that interesting that we have two theater people here? There's a little video I was watching this week where they were talking about if you need someone for a job, hire a theater major.
You know what? We can do anything.
They can do anything.
I absolutely believe it's like the best part. Like, I mean, I've been doing theater stuff since I was young, very, very young. But it gave me confidence. It gave me poise. I can really talk my way through pretty much anything. I can ad-lib my way out of a lot of things.
But also we can do anything or we can pretend to do anything.
Yes.
They said that
it's like
you could like throw them a weird curveball and they'll just catch it and figure it out.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, they'll let you know what you're doing. If you have no budget, they'll figure that out. They don't need a budget. Like it just went on. And I just thought, wow, these theater people really are next level.
Yeah.
Well, because, we're out there trying to create a production, sometimes literally with like some duct tape and a stick, you try to make a set or do what you can,
it's so
just,
true.
It's just something you figure out. But I think that experience was so valuable, and I use it all the time. I mean, all the time.
That's so good. I love that. Maybe we'll be able to work in some theater into ACB. That'll be fun.
So.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
Well, my degree was theater education, which was specifically how do you teach kids educational principles through theater practice. Like, it wasn't, we did it in lower elementary. It wasn't like, here's how you put on a play with kids. It was like, hey, here's how you teach reading to kids through theater. Like, it was very much theater practices to get concepts.
I mean, just, you mentioned that as I also, school, it's also kind of funny to me. I think now that I have a master's degree and I'm in education, because school was hard for me, really, really hard. I struggled with learning to read. Math was not my friend. I really sometimes barely got through, but theater was the one thing. I can memorize pretty much anything you throw at me and pretty fast. And that was something that I glommed onto. I was like, oh, I can't do any of this, but you just wanted me to memorize every single Bible verse because I went to Lutheran school and you had to know a Bible verse every single week. And I was that would be the one thing I could get accomplished. My mom could read it to me twice and I had it memorized.
Oh, nice.
And that's something that just kind of got me through. And it made me realize that there was a lot more out there than just this one, in the box kind of piece, which is another reason why I think now when I look at education and how we serve every child is every single child has something to offer, and every single child deserves to know they do. Yes. And so even that child that, the teachers go, oh, that child is so challenging. There's a reason why that's happening. And sometimes you have to go deep and figure out what that is. And you have to shift your practice to help them be their best person rather than them shifting their practice to make it work for the teacher. And so that's one of the things that I guess I kind of came into this just out of, wow, there's so much that I can do, that I, in so many ways I can influence and help a child who isn't feeling like they can.
That's cool.
And so
I think that's really great. I think that's good. Mm-hmm. Well, Erika, thank you for coming up and hanging out with us. Justin's got a heart out here pretty soon. So, Justin,
if you want more information, cityrise.org/ACV. There's an information form at the bottom you can fill out. Also, if you are looking for a job, not necessarily with our preschool, but if it's preschool, cityrise.org/jobs is where we keep our jobs listed to work in the CityRise Church jobs that we have. You can check that out if you or someone you know is interested in being a part of our team. We'd love for you to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like it and share it with somebody that would be interested. If someone's looking for a good preschool in Houston, this is a great episode to send their way to let them get to know in a really quick and easy way our new director of our preschool here at Westview Baptist.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to know all of y'all.
Yay, exactly. Thank you guys. And thank you guys. Thank y'all. We hope you've had an almost amazing time on the Almost Amazing Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Almost Amazing Podcast from the CityRise Network based in Houston, Texas. CityRise is a partnership of church campuses, nonprofits, and missionaries devoted to lifting our city and the world by generously giving the gospel of Jesus Christ. For more information or to find a church campus close to you in the Houston area, visit cityrise.org.